Legends and Super Legends. Welcome to Veloharmony. Today is cold. I just went outside, kind of test out my setup. And it's one of these mornings where you can't be cute. It's very cold. So I will be wearing, I got a standard base layer, sleeveless underneath this. My thermal base layer. That's the new one I got in pink. And I'm going to be wearing this brevet jersey. It's very breathable. So in addition to this, I will be wearing the rain vest. Even though there's no rain scheduled, this is like another layer. It's nice and warm. That should cover me. And if during the ride, it's supposed to get up to about 13 feet, because right now we're right around 3 or 4, I'm estimating, which is like 37, 38 degrees. It's cold. And it's one of these mornings where we got the front pumped in. The air is very dry and just cold. And with all the rain we've had, it feels colder than the air temperature. So this gives me 2 layers on my arm and then 3 on my torso. So that should take care of that. And then that vest will be to block the wind. That's the reason I'm wearing it. I'm wearing my wool cap over my ears. That keeps me really warm. If I get hot during the ride, I can just flip this up, even under the helmet. It's a sunny day, so I'm wearing all black. I will have my shoes covered. I'm wearing my protein overshoes, what they call rain shoes. And so during the ride, if I get warm, when it warms up later, I can bring this down to like quarter length here. That would be good. But starting out, I'm zipping it all the way up. So I'll leave it like that. I'm wearing 2 layers on my hands. These are made by Defeat. They got little feet on them, kind of cute. But these will go inside these brevet gloves, which are 100% reflective. Not that I would need it on a day like that, but that's just a feature of the glove that I put on. So, carrying a lot of food, because we're going to do about 160 something kilometers. So I've got my bars, got 3 of these bars, the green ones, they go down really easily, and 2 of these Trail Mix Neutral Valley, and then I've got my banana bread, the recipe that I put on the channel, and I have 3 gels. So whether I need the gels or not, that will be the last thing I touch. I know I'm not gonna need them early. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready. I'm using these cinch here. It really gets the brevet to fit your body because they're cut kind of loose. So Rafa adds these to where you can squeeze the button here and cinch it closer to your body. I really like that feature. It helps hold everything when you load up your pockets. The brevet jersey has a pocket that goes across like that. So you can put extra stuff in there. When I take off that vest, it will not go there. I will put it under the brevet, under my bib, against my spine, on top of the base layer. Because that's a spot that it fits really nicely in. We stopped to do that. I don't do that on the bike. So, my patch kit. Some people ask, they don't see anything on your bike, how do you carry it? This is like a wallet for the bike. Rafa calls it the essentials kit. There are all kinds out there. I like this because I pack it nice and flat, so it fits nicely. And then my pump, they go in one pocket. I've gotten used to kind of putting them on the left now. I leave the middle for the camera. When we're not filming, the camera goes in my middle pocket. With these heavier jerseys, I put the camera in the pocket. During the summer, I put the camera behind my neck, so I don't ruin it. The lighter jerseys can't handle that weight in the pocket. This is an extra tube I take, and I still have to decide where I'm going to put that. I may just use the brevet pocket and put it there. The long pocket across. Make sure I don't put a lot of stuff in and put that out of the way.
And that's about it. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton. We rolled up to the Woodlands. Christian rode with us, but he doesn't show up on there. He didn't update Strava. We picked up Team RR. We went down Fish Creek and went east on 28, 54 to Old Highway 105, all the way out to FM 830. We really spiced it up. You can see us going over the lake there. We stopped briefly near the lake. Then we went up Bailey Grove. The group split. Some people went back. 5 of us went out to Dacus, down 1486 to Mount Mariah Road near Dobbins. Came down Jackson Road to 149 into Karen and took 1488 back to the Woodlands. We filmed all the way through Mount Mariah. We didn't do the forest, but I think there's enough action. I hope you all enjoy the clips. And Paul and I went ahead and spun back home past the Woodlands. We got a little over 165 kilometers in thereabouts. So it was a long day on the bike.
One fall day.
You would ought to have a full-time dresser or something.
Paul says Paul and I full-time dressers. I'm not sure what that
How are you?
means. We like to look good.
Good to see you,
You
man.
gotta wear the right tools.
Happy New Year, man.
Any kind of job you're gonna do. You wear the wrong kit, you will freeze, or you will sweat, depending on the weather. If you don't dress right, your body cannot perform. The body will take energy
I
to
gotta
keep
get
you cool.
everybody here.
So remember that. Don't skimp. When you're dressed right, then you can just go ahead and focus on riding and use all your energy. Look at the stem on Scott's bike. It's pointed up.
Happy New Year.
The
Come on,
saddle's
man.
tilted
He was
down.
halfway to
Everything's
Super
about as fit
legend,
as
come on, you gotta represent.
Oh, you got some new clothes. You just haven't seen them.
My clothes didn't fit this tight. Like right before Christmas.
We'll figure it
Mine are getting looser.
We'll figure that out, all right?
Well, did you get your Rafa 500 in?
It was smashed.
We smashed it. Oh,
Did you do it with them?
Oh, yes, I was there. The whole way. Thank you.
You guys will be pulling the entire day today. Just so you know.
How many
miles I got that week?
I have the duty to
That
do,
week,
so I
how
gotta
about
stay
both
behind.
Well, the whole month we're riding around 300 miles. So by the time we got to it, don't look over crazy more.
That's hard.
That was fun.
Did you see what Mo rode this year? Did you see his Strava data? 10,338 miles last year.
Well, Jerry did more than that. Jerry rides more than more.
16,000.
Yeah, Jerry just lives on the bike.
Jerry's in our Veloharmony club. That's how I know. I don't spend a lot of time on
He
Strava.
used to get like
I know about Jerry because he's in our club.
You got 20 this year? Yeah, that's what Jerry told me. Wow. Yeah, Jerry's got a lot.
I just ride. Don't worry about Strava.
How's it going? Jerry rides rain and shine.
Yeah, there he is. He got more than he got. Did you say 20?
That's Doug shot in the red.
Wow. Yeah, that was.
I don't know how you do that.
It's called retirement.
And Jerry, the point about Jerry works full time.
Right.
Got 16.5.
Paul's retired. He
And
can.
he has 45 KOMs.
Yeah, right. I think that must have been his New Year's resolution last year. He must have said, I'm getting all the KOMs. Because whenever there's a KOM that doesn't have his name on it, he takes the ride there.
I didn't know that was.
Yeah, Jerry rode 16,000 miles in 2018. He's in our Veloharmony
Yeah,
club.
everybody defines.
Jerry Luton, he just signed up.
Has a fair.
I like his dedication.
Victor hasn't been on Strava.
Okay.
Paul's going to use the restroom they gave me a
Is he,
camera.
okay.
Well, they plan
Christian
where
is
they
getting
are.
coffee.
They draft off of each other. Then right when
pictures.
So we're just shooting the breeze. We're done. It's time to go. There's Christian. He came back with his coffee. We all rode together from the house to this ride. So I'm going to look for Paul because he's not back yet. He's on the left. There's a Kroger on the left. And that's where he went to use. There he is. He's coming. So I just went ahead and turned this way. Paul had said, "Oh, you got something new. You got a new kit on, new clothes." I said, "Nope, you just haven't seen it. I take good care of my kid. What I'm wearing is at least 2 years old, probably more. But I take care of them so they look good. You don't wear them that much. You're not rolling around in the mud. So if you take care of them, it should last. The quality stuff lasts."
Car right.
There's a car on the right. He let us go, and I'll wave and thank him. He slowed down. It's not a busy road. It's in the left lane. We roll to the right. But the rain vest was perfect on this ride up until probably 9 something. And I took it off. You'll see me take it off, and I folded and put it in the pocket of my jersey. When we got to the stop at the lake, I put it under my bib on my spine, so it was out of the way.
2850, Fish Creek.
I'm updating Paul. He missed the instructions for the route.
So we went Sap Road, so they'll go over the lake. And what we'll do is, when they come back, they're gonna go to Taco Corner. We're not gonna go to Taco Corner. We'll take the forest and go north. So we're gonna leave them there. That makes sense?
We had planned to deviate from them and go through the forest, but then when we got out there, they decided to go with us through the forest. So the group split up, and so I think 5 or 6 of us went through the forest. We ended up seeing Mo's group coming south while we were going north in the forest. So we're all in the forest. There were cyclists all over the place. There's a lot of riders out on the road this weekend, even Sunday. Earlier today when I went out, a lot of riders. The top that I'm wearing is 2 years older than the bottom. You see those stripes on my legs? They match the top, and just somehow they happen to match because they were not made at the same time. The brevet winter tights come with those reflective stripes. Even the sun will cause them to reflect. They're that effective. So I edited here for time. We ride up. Paul and I we're messing with the camera, going through the paces because it's cold. You can see it says 0C. I didn't realize it was that cold. That's why my hands were cold. So the temperature that they actually listed on the app was higher than what we experienced out there. So this is basically at freezing right now. I didn't realize it, but it felt cold. When we walked outside that morning, it was cold. It's almost like the app was off. So that's why I wore 3 layers plus my rain vest or gilet. Now I see why it felt so cold. 0C, that's pretty much my limit. That's 32 Fahrenheit. And Christian is without anything on his knees. He had goose pimples on his legs. Talking about it's not cold. It's cold.
This road was smoother.
This is old Egypt road. They're working on it. Paul was right. It was smoother, but they've roughed it up. I guess they're going to lay down some pavement. What they do is they work on one side, they direct the traffic on the other. When they're done, they're going to repave this other side. So they're tearing it up to get ready for what they're going to do.
Just lifting the gimbal up.
So it was bouncing around. That's why he said the gimbal's bouncing. Right here, Christian finishes his coffee. I told him put the coffee cup in the cone on the right there. There's no trash can. But he said no. So he took it across the street to that. There's a shopping center over there to have a trash can.
Christian, put it in the cone over there. Put it in that cone.
You put it in the cone, the workers will get it.
He said no. No.
So probably wasn't a great idea. But he's trying to put, there's no pocket on this ski lane. I told him there's no pocket. So he goes across, turns right into that shopping center. That's a grocery store. There's an Aldi. Yeah, Aldi. They have trash cans galore in there. They've got some big metal trash cans that you will see on the right edge of the building down there. I don't know which ones he used.
Yeah, he does that all the time. Yep.
I usually carry my trash under my jersey until we get to a stop and I can unload it in a trash can. That's Christian. I was letting Paul know that I told these guys that we were doing a longer ride and that we're gonna break off after the lake and go through the forest. Well, quite a few of them decided. Christian went with us, of course, and then Paul H. and then Michael with the orange socks over there went with us, and Doug Shot with the red light, the steady red light and the red shirt, he went with us. We ended up, you will see, having to go through water on one of our routes that covered the road, but it was safe because it did not obscure the road.
Look at these boys.
Right there, Paul spotted a couple of deer just standing around. The deer just hanging out.
Just hanging out. You've been on that route before.
Yeah, I believe so.
We stopped at the shelter by the lake.
So I'm explaining to him that he's been out on this route. We're going east today, towards Lake Conroe. Christian's blowing his nose, pulls out of the line, so he doesn't spray anybody. So we use these routes to get out onto the open road.
Want this bad boy straight.
Working on that gimbal is so cold. I didn't realize it was that freezing. That explains why my hands were so cold. I had liners and the other glove, and it took a while before they warmed up. Didn't realize we were right at freezing, but I saw frost on the grass as we left. So the app on the iPhone, that weather app, was not keeping up very well. We were at freezing, and I was unaware of it. So the right lane's clear here, and they're right in the shoulder like they always do. I use the road. See where I am. We have 2 lanes. There's no reason to be riding on the shoulder. So even though I'm not getting a draft, I'd much rather ride where I am because it's just lovely pavement. You know, why not? That's where I ride when I ride solo on this road. I'm using the lane. Either you're going to use the lane or you won't. The only reason I'm going to use the shoulder is the road's narrow and there's a shoulder. There's 2 lanes. There's no high volume. There's never any high volume out here. You're out heading out in the country. So you see where I am. And that's why I train like I do. I don't need the draft. So I ride there so I don't have to worry about flats. Now you see them coming back over. The shoulder's getting narrow. There's too many riders to be riding that narrow shoulder. And when I'm at the front pulling, I plant myself where the other riders see there's a trash can on the side of the road. There's nothing out here. Why would you ride there? I'll make a video about what sharing the road means. Look, 1 car coming where I am. Beautiful pavement. I'm enjoying them. My Victorias are singing to me. They're missing out. So yeah, I may not be enjoying the draft, but I don't care. That's why I ride like I do. Now once we get to where this road squeezes up into just 2 lane both ways, one lane both ways, I would basically use the shoulder because it makes sense, like over the bridge and so forth, so the faster traffic can pass easily. But right here, there is no point to be there. You take the right lane, they can use the left, and by doing that, you make it clear you're using the lane. You can see the cars are still staying in that lane anyway. These guys hugging the edge of the road. You see where I am? I'm using the road. I take the camera from Paul because I want to film him today. The camera's it's cold and it's acting up. Now we see why it was acting up. It's very cold. I just knew it was cold. I didn't realize it was at freezing. Our app was saying 36, 37. Even in the prologue, I was saying it was 6C, but it's actually 0C. It was colder than we were aware. One of those guys was saying they wanted to start later, but I don't let the cold weather stop me. I've got a window. And today's Sunday, I went out, it was foggy, and I rode up there. Alan joined me. We're gonna ride with those guys. They went and sat in a Starbucks, wasting time talking about it, waiting for the fog to clear. All the other riders are out riding. You can see the fog in the distance there. So we had a little bit of fog on this ride too. But Sunday was very foggy, but I got my lights on, head out. If it's really thick fog to where you can't see in front of you, you're fine. But there was enough visibility. So this is where the fog appeared on this ride. On Sunday, it was everywhere. I'm kind of hanging back, messing with the camera. No fuss, no muss. The pace is not that hot for me. We're just kind of getting into the ride at this point. There's wood all over. I told Paul, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about me. Let's go. Good.
So this is where you use the shoulder. You've got only 2 lanes. There's a decent shoulder. It's okay. That makes sense. So that the cars that are coming don't have to face oncoming traffic. But if the shoulder is not safe, you use the lane. They just wait till it's safe to pass. You are a vehicle legally, so just keep that in mind. And now we got 2 lanes. I told Paul, use the road. I'm already on the road. We take this lane. That's what it means, share the road. We shared it with them by riding the shoulder when it was narrow. Now it opens, use the right lane. It's not that busy. In fact, if you ride in the city, you need to plant yourself even more in the lane because you have more people using the roads and you don't want them skimming by your elbow. You want them to not have to pass you in your lane. You want them to move over. A lot of them will pass a parked car with more space than they give a cyclist, which makes no sense. So in the city of Houston, the ordinance says 1 meter. It's about 3 feet, 3.2 feet. Because of all the riding we've done, Paul is handling the pace very well. And riding with Mo and them when we're doing the Festive 500, we worked a lot harder. And so with this group, the way to work hard is you see me hanging off the back, and then you will see me later taking long poles. So you can get the same kind of workout even with a group that may not be the fastest by just doing more work. And then filming when we're riding is another challenge too. I just tilted the camera so it would recalibrate. Very cold. No wonder it was cold. But I was comfortable other than my hands being a little cool, but then they warmed up. But my body, my feet, everything, my kit worked. That Belgian cap was perfect. So I cannot stress enough that you need the right equipment. With the right equipment, there is no challenging weather that you can't handle. Within reason. You know, it's not safe. Yeah, you don't have to go out there. But it's not the weather that is the problem. It's just that people are not equipped. So when it rains, we don't ride with these guys. We ride by ourselves. I don't need anybody spraying dirty water on me when I ride. It gets in your face. It's just a mess. So at this point, I'm not aware that Randy is pulling. Randy is our newest super legend from this group. And I don't know why he was pulling, because what ended up happening, as soon as he pulls off, we don't see him again. So he pulled and then got dropped. That was it. So this was the end of his ride. After you'll see him pull off in a little while. So don't do that. Don't take a pull and then you can't finish riding, because if you don't get the kilometers in, you're not going to improve. You keep cutting your ride short, you're not going to get better. You're going to have to invest time in it. Anything you do, your career, whatever. If you want to be good at it, you got to invest time in it. There's no shortcuts. You want to be the best, you got to work. That's what it takes. I don't care what your talent is, you got to work. You can be talented, and if you don't do the work, somebody less talented that work hard will beat you. Because chances are the guy who's very talented will not be as hungry as the person who's doing the hard work with less talent. So right here we get to the first light. Wood Forest, South Wood Forest. Randy pulls off. And then I see that he's sitting at the front. So I'm like, okay. Why is he up there? Because we're just really starting. And you will see in a little while, he continues, and then when he pulls off, we don't see him after that. You'll see. So don't do that. Don't go to the front and pull and then end up getting dropped, because if you're not getting the kilometers in your legs, your improvement will suffer. You need to be able to get decent mileage in. So the pace is getting hard. You see Scott drifting to the back? He's seeking shelter. I'm sitting around on Christian's wheel. And the ride has really picked up in earnest. So I move into the draft. This part of Fish Creek is uphill. It may say 0, but it's not. It's a little less than 1 maybe. So right here it's going up. You can see it. This is where Randy pulls out of the pace line. And it does not appear that he was right at the front that time, because I see Maurice at the front. So he's just having trouble with the pace. And we start to go by him as he drifts back. When he drifts by me, that's the last time I see him on the ride. So he's just gonna need to ride more to improve. Because he's moved down a few places in the pack right there. But, you know, we're going up. So you're not going to, you know, this is not drafting so much as opposed to you got to be putting down the power. The road's going up. Everybody's working. I moved the camera around to get it calibrated. You can see Randy's working. There he is. He's all over his bike. He's tired. Look at the gap. There's a gap between Paul H and those guys. The group has separated. This is the last I see of Randy. So the pace is just fast for Randy. He just needs to ride more. He needs some kind of structure to his training so he can tune his engine and he'll be able to handle it. Because we're not really going that hard yet. I mean, I said we're not going that hard. It's hard, but you know, it's different for everybody depending on your fitness. I'm just watching everything. I'm trying to get a good shot, so I'm staying to the left, even though there's no draft, to make sure I get a shot. I did not want to be directly behind Christian. I wanted you guys to see what's going on up there, you guys and girls. This is Ridge Lake Shores. There's a hill right there at the entrance we're going over. Short hill. Now Mark pulls off here. You're gonna miss it, but he's tired. I don't know what he was doing, but as I spin the camera around, he almost caused a wreck. I'm like, what are you doing? He swung back to the group and did a fishtail. So I don't know why he pulled out of the pack, but that's where we separated from them again. The pace was hot, so he pulled out of the pace line, catching more wind instead of staying in the pace line, and then he looked behind and did a fishtail. So that was just an unsafe move. So I just said, what are you doing, man? You know. So Paul just moved around him and Christian moved around him. And I don't know who's at the front right now. It's like Dan's behind some. I think it might be Doug. I manually adjusted the camera there. You can see the gap. That's Scott back there. Scott and Mark and them, they're off the pace. So I go ahead, after messing with the camera, you can see the gap open. I just ride up to Christian. That's why I train like I do. That's effort, because they're going hard. I close that gap like it was nothing. And I kept my cadence up to do that because the overpass is coming. So I want to make sure my legs are supple and fresh. So it taxes my aerobic system. And we're going hard here. There's Doug shot sitting at the front. And so the people who are drafting properly and the people who've been riding consistently are the ones up here. It looks like Maurice back there having problems with the pace. I thought it was Scott. Scott's further back, Mark is back. So Maurice, Scott, and Mark got gapped. It's not easy riding hard and filming. I want to make that very clear. So people are aware of it. Because most people can barely hold the pace just riding. So I train harder than I need to be able to do this. So because of the downhill, my heart rate dropped about 22 beats, just right there. I'm just analyzing on the screen. I don't look at that when I'm riding. I just ride. So this is yet another climb before the overpass. The overpass is ahead after we finish this. This is probably about a 2.5%er. I saw one earlier, now one is back. Yeah, two, there we go. And the pace we're riding, you feel it. And they're coming thick and fast. And the plan is to go on the overpass, turn left, come down and go under the overpass. Because we're going to the right, I'm going east, where the sun comes from. The sun is rising right now, so we're going to be heading into the sun after we get over the overpass. We're going to the lake. We're going to go east and then go north. So right here now the road narrows again. So this is where we use the shoulder. The traffic density is not that much, but it's just a courtesy. It's a good sized shoulder, though it has some debris. But you're climbing, say, 20 miles an hour, which is a good pace to be climbing here. See, now it's 18. It's getting slower as we go up. This is about a 3% overpass. We used to do repeats on overpasses when I raced in Houston in the 90s. I lived on the southwest side. It's really flat there.
Left turn, left.
I'm giving them directions because I listened to the route that Mark gave, and I've been on this route before. Did it in the summer because Mark is not here. He's off the pace. That's Maurice back there. And they're Mark and Scott and them are further back. We don't even see Randy again on this day. We're gonna go down to the intersection and we're gonna go left, which will take us east. So the power's off, we're slowing down. Got the camera here behind Paul. Paul H is up there.
Take care.
Maurice is going right. I guess he ain't gonna be riding with us. The ride of attrition has begun.
The old 105 road.
I know the
That
route,
way, that's what he
but
said.
it's
Yeah,
Mark's
going
route.
left.
He's not here. We turn the camera around.
Wait for Mark. He'll lead you the way. This green up.
The light changes, we go through. I'm not sure when Mark gets back to the group, because I don't really see him here where we're going.
The camera misbehaved, but I think I got good shots. When it rains, he said, "Oh, it's wet. I can't ride."
We shooting the breeze about the guys that complain. Oh, it's a little wet. I don't want to get my bike wet. Well, that's what happens. The fitness suffers. If you don't keep your appointment, you have problems. Either you're going to ride in the rain or you're going to ride the train. One or the other. Take the camera to Paul. Go ahead and ride up. Dan is up the road. That's one thing about this group. Somebody always sneaks up the road, and then when you come up to them, they're riding slow. I don't get behind them, ever. You will see me just blow by him. And he says something like, "Excuse me." He's being funny. I just ignore him. If you're gonna ride off the front, when I come up to you, if you want to stay up there, you need to lift your pace to match mine or exceed mine. I'm not gonna slow the group behind me because you snuck away at the light. It's not gonna happen. I'm doing 28 kilometers an hour and coming up on him, so I know he's going too slow. I look for traffic, I wait, his car comes, it's clear. Because I'm taking a group on the road, so I gotta make sure it's clear for everybody. And I proceed to get to the business of riding. windy, it's cold, and it says 1C, a whopping 1C. What is that, 33? You will see the perspiration from my body. I don't know if you can see, the sun will show right there. This morning. That's the Rafa outfit venting my perspiration. Look at that. That's quality, guys. It's venting my perspiration, and you can see it because it's so cold and the wind. And then notice that my garments are not flapping in the wind. So you get what you pay for. You save your money and you get them on sale. You get the cheap stuff to be flapping around, it will chafe and slow you down. That stuff is hugging my body like it's made right. And I got the pockets all loaded. So that the vest is over my jersey that's full. It's still not moving. And you're not wet under there because everything breathes. Those stripes that are on the shorts that you see, the reflective stripes, they match my brevet jersey that I'm wearing that I got years ago. And just by chance they match. It's almost like a unit. Busy highway, so we use the little shoulder just out of courtesy. Nothing stops us from using the road, but it's there, it's safe, it's clean. If it weren't, we'd use the road. I'm not going hard here, I mean for me anyway. This is my endurance base. Kept it steady so everybody would get back together. It appears that everybody's back together. That's the way you're supposed to look on your bike. You should be one with the machine. It doesn't matter that it's windy. My position is already fairly low. I don't need to get any lower. I'm giving Paul a decent draft. And all I do is I just relax and let my legs do the work. Bike doesn't fit you, it's hard to ride hard for extended periods of time. I soft pedal here, I'm checking the street sign. The street's on the left. And that's not the street we need. We need old 105. And that's it up the road. So I let them know we're gonna be turning. They tell me it's clear, we take the lane. Make it clear we're turning so that nobody can pass or try to pass in the next lane. There's the sign, old 105. This will take us to a road called Sap Road. And Sap Road will take us to the main 105. This old 105, if you stay on it straight, it takes you to Highway 105. Now reach for a gel here. We pull off the main highway. People have to regroup. Not everybody comes through smoothly. So I've got gel in my vest, so I don't have to lift it up. I don't know what they're laughing at here, but Paul laughed, then said something that made Paul laugh. But that tells you how much fun we're having. I take a gel, get all the contents out. That's Doug's shot in the red, that's Scott in the white, and that's Paul H going by. As soon as I see no one else, I just slide in behind him. I go ahead and just loosen up my legs with some high cadence reps to get up to them. Getting to the gimbal. In a little bit, Paul will spin it around. We turn here on the Sap Road. If we had stayed on that road, it would take us to Highway 105. This road would take us further up Highway 105, more easterly than the other one would have. You're gonna see a lot of gaps in here, which is surprising because people are tired and they're not staying up, but I think it's a combination of the pace is just hot and people need a break. Like I said earlier, Sunday today, we went to ride. Oh, it's foggy. We're gonna sit at Starbucks for a while. They camped out there like they were gonna spend the whole day there. Alan and I just left and went for our ride. We were coming back home. They were just heading out. They didn't go that far. So you miss out. When you don't get the kilometers in, you can't expect to keep up with the top people. That's unreasonable to expect that. So you'll see more of the challenges, you know. So if you're not going to ride in the rain and other things, you better put the bike on the trainer if you've got goals you need to accomplish. If you're serious about it, that's what you have to do. Even though we're not going full gas here, I'm still staying in the draft. It saves your energy for later. I'm pointing out these obstacles. I look around these guys. I don't wait for them to point it. I'm looking around. You see me drift a little to the left? I'm looking around them. I want to know what's coming. I don't like to be surprised. Gearing is very low here. I'm probably in a 21 or a 23, something like that, on the big chain ring. That's why my cadence is high. I use a smaller ratio than others are doing. So it's 1C and we're out here. You know? And I had no idea it was 1C. All I knew it was cold. You guys saw me in the parking lot blowing in my hands. But when we got up that morning, both Paul and I walked outside, it was cold. I didn't need a thermometer to tell me. It was very cold. That's why we walk outside, put on stuff, go outside. Like I said, this was not the morning to be cute. Now I see why. It's going back to like 0.7 C. We're heading north. It's getting colder again.
We've been here before.
I'm not sure where Scott was going. He's been out here before. See, they don't listen when Mark is giving instructions about the route, but then he's at the front, going the wrong way. I slow down, I wave Paul up because I'm drifting to the back. I've done a long pull. I'm not going back to the front. Other people can come in and do their share of the work. Christian goes ahead, and you'll see the rest of them come around because I just continue to slow down. That's Duck Shot. That's Paul H. That's Mark. Dan, and the guy with the orange socks is Michael. Michael's from Austria. I'm using the road here. I checked for traffic when I saw those things. You don't want to dodge those things like they're doing. You have to make up your mind. Either you're going to ride on the right like they're doing or use the road. Still cold. See, it says 1C. That's Scott. I guess it was at the front. Rolling back. This area here, we're headed towards the lake. There's a lot of businesses that cater to boating enthusiasts. Nice grade here. It begins to kick in as we ride into the sun. It says 2%. I think it gets to close to 4%, and it continues for a bit. Now it says 3%. You can see everybody working.
Yep, you watch the skirt on it.
I think Christian is at the front putting the power down. Paul notches in here. I'm right behind Paul. Doing about 25 kilometers an hour. It's close to 17 miles an hour, 16 or 17 miles an hour. It's continuing, we're still climbing. So even though it's a main highway, it's a long climb. This is a hard pace. Now you will begin to see Mark gives late directions. This is his route, and he's giving late directions because we have a turn coming up in maybe a half a kilometer up the road at an intersection. His instructions are so late that the boys have to go to the right and use the opposite road to go left. They didn't have enough time to use the left lane. It's one of those intersections that kind of dead ends into a parking lot. I come around Paul here and just ride up. I'm pointing there's something on the road on the right. Now they're pointing it. Some debris or roadkill. And then I'll ride up. We're riding hard here. So because we ride so frequently, what I'm doing is not what you want to do when you're not in good condition, because it takes a lot of effort to ride up the group from the back. Now he says left turn is late. I already kind of suspected we're going to turn left, but I wasn't sure because he had missed another turn earlier that I thought he was going to take. There are many ways to get to the lake. So I'm already in the left lane. These guys missed it. So Paul is here with them. They come on this road at dead ends. Here it says no outlet, goes into a subdivision. So they're going to stay on the right there because it's red for them right now, but it will change and they will be able to go across.
Last minute.
That's what you hear Paul say, that was last minute. He continues to do that. You will see that again. But he does that all the time. You know, I don't know why he waits to the last minute. It's hazardous to the group, really. Imagine somebody in your car giving you navigational instructions at the last minute. You will miss your left turn because if you're not in the proper lane, even in a car, and you get a late notification, you might not be able to get in the left lane based on what's going on with traffic. So I'm over there standing on the side of the road waiting on the boys. I'm right across the street there because I made the turn. He did too. He's up there. There's a little street. These guys are going on the red because if they don't go, you see the left signal here for both sides? If they don't go, it won't change. A lot of these roads that dead end, they have sensors and they don't pick up bikes. So it's safe to go when the left turn is on because at least you sneak across. Here I am standing waiting on them. And Mark went up to that little driveway, was a street on the right. That's where he went. So he's up front right now in front of Christian and them. He was on this street waiting.
Too many to count, my friend. Too many to count.
That's what Paul is talking about. You see the sign, caution bicycles? A lot of cyclists ride on this road. So on a road like this, you see where this guy is, dog shot? That's where you want to be. The shoulder is just too narrow. If you ride there, the drivers will come closer to you because right here you got a left turn lane. They got enough room to move over safely, really. So as it gets narrower here, we're gonna ride closer to the line. But that's how I ride these roads because that little shoulder is too narrow to sit there. You don't have enough room. And it might get a little bigger. Yeah, it's getting wider now, so we're using it. But it won't last. The shoulder goes away, and so we have to use the road anyway. This is a wide, you see how wide this shoulder is? That's great to use this. You can even ride two abreast, but it's not gonna last. Now you see it, there's a lull in the pace. Christian has pulled off the front, and nobody's going through. Okay, we're turning left. So Mark is in front of Christian. We're turning left here. So they were waiting to go to the left.
Yep.
There's another way to get to the lake through another neighborhood back there with a 15% climb. I thought that's what we would use because we had used it during the summer. I was kind of looking forward to it. It's short and just very steep. And you have 4 to 6% climbs before you get to the 15%. I don't think these boys wanted to deal with that today. I'm probably in at 53, 23, or 21. Probably 21. When you head north out here, the roads are just, you're going up the entire time. See, right here, the shoulder ends. So it's best to just use the road, let the cars move over when they go by. Some of them come uncomfortably close to you, contrary to what the ordinance calls for, which is a meter, or about 3.2 feet. Exactly 3.2 feet, actually, as I said, about 3 feet. But the ordinance may not apply out here, but it just makes no sense when they pass cyclists so close, when they pass parked cars with a lot of room. So we're using a road here. Anybody that needs to pass will have to go over that yellow line. So Like here, there is absolutely no shoulder. Ride where you see me riding. Especially if the road is very busy, it is safer for you to ride where I am. So they know your predicted course of travel. You're not safe by the edge of the road in this situation. You're not safe where Doug shot is. You need to move over a little bit. If you were riding alone, you want to be where I am. Plant your bike where the right tire rides. Not only is the pavement smoother there's no debris. You position yourself in such a way that traffic has to wait until it's safe to pass the other road users, because you're part of traffic. There's a bunch of people that I go around Mark, he's in the way, he's leaving a gap. Paul split him on the left, I go on the right. We're riding up to these guys. Mark is struggling with the pace because he's one of those that when it rains, they don't ride. So if you're not gonna ride on the road when it rains, you better plant yourself on the trainer if you wanna be able to ride with your mates on a beautiful sunny day like this. I'd much rather be outside, so I've invested in fenders and shoe covers and rain capes. You can see I'm wearing my rain vest on a sunny day as another layer. Because now it's finally 3C. It's been cold. Those of you who saw the prologue, you know I have a liner and those gloves. About hour 4, so I took off both gloves and put them up and just rode bare hands. It warmed up that much. Christian was teasing me. He said, "Oh, you're hot now." Because he's a tough guy. He comes in with no knee warmers or anything on a freezing morning. So he was teasing me and I told him, well, that was 7 o'clock. It was around 11 o'clock. He was laughing because I took off my gloves. I said, that was 7 o'clock. I'm not dressing for 11 o'clock. That's 4 hours later. So yeah, it doesn't make you tough to brave too cold of a temperature. There's no point to that. You can take off your gloves and stuff later, put them up. You can do that within reason. You don't need to be freezing cold. Scott's going back to the back. I don't really know why to do that because I understand the pace is hot, but he could have stayed up there in the draft. He could have been behind Paul H or somebody else. It's not easy at the back. You get that yo-yo effect, meaning if somebody is maybe 10 yards ahead and they're on the climb and they're pushing hard while you're on the flat. So when they finish that little short climb, you get to the climb, you're pushing hard when they're on a flat portion going fast. By the time you're done with that climb, they got you gapped. So you don't want to be way back. Even when you're struggling, it may seem like you're better off at the back, but you're really not. Just notch in maybe 4 or 5 places or mid-pack and do your best to stay there. And maybe he just can't hold the pace. Could be. But from a teaching standpoint, don't be way at the back. You're reacting to efforts later than when they're put down. And that's hard. Even on a flat criterion. Think about it. People go around the corner, they accelerate out of the corner. You're still coming into the corner. They're gone down the road if you're way back in the pack. So if you want to really place well, you got to be in the top third of the bunch. All of this here, we're riding fairly hard. But because we've done so much riding, my heart rate's low. It doesn't need to work that hard. You see where I'm placed right now on the road. I do this to see around these guys. The few cars that passed us, they use the other lane. There's enough of us riding. We get a lot of drivers here, and I'm sure a lot of other cyclists experience it. They act like they want to prove to you how close they can come to you when they pass. I really hate that. It's not necessary. And it startles you sometimes. Scott's already gapped right back there. Scott's got several issues going on besides the fact that they don't train consistently or enough They have no structure. The second thing is he needs a fit. He's one of the riders with a stem, looks like a mountain bike stem that points up in the air. He sits really high, and his saddle position is not optimized. Both Paul and I have talked to him about it when he asked, and this was months ago. He's taking no action. I've shown you guys pictures of his saddle with just a 7 to 9 degree slope, pretty significant on one of the group rides, and he hasn't changed that. All of that, you're not comfortable. When it gets hard, you can't ride. There's no time to be scooting around and looking for comfort when you should be putting the power down. And you can't put the power down very well when your saddle's off. The same thing happens to Paul H. He's about 3 riders up from me. When it gets really hard and the watts are being put down, he gets gapped. You will see that throughout this ride because his saddle's a little high, so he struggles to reach the bottom of the stroke, and that's where you generate the power. It's not just your quads. Your quads are not enough. The muscles in the back of your legs and your gluteus maximus and your hamstrings, they're bigger than your quadriceps. So why would you only use one set of muscles? People used to tell me, oh, your saddle looks low. I'm like, thank you. I knew what I was doing. You know, my saddle looked low. Well, I was on the podium with a low saddle, so it must be working. When I used to compete, everybody acts like they know, you know, like I'm gonna go to a race to get advice from competitors. That makes no sense. You need to know the rules of the game. You don't need it. You don't need to go to a competition to get advice from the people you're competing against. That just holds no logic. That's like going to a bike shop to ask them, do you have good bikes here? And they're gonna be like, of course we do. That's a biased opinion. So you need to invest in your fit. There's no point in paying money to buy the fanciest wheels and all that stuff, and the bike does not fit you. You're not gonna enjoy it. That's why I can sit on my bike very long. Look, I opened my vest. It's now warmer. It says 3C, but I was feeling warm. I guess from 0 to 3 was significant enough. But I just opened my vest, and then in a few kilometers, I will sit up and fold it and put it up in my pocket. So Paul is going to point right. He doesn't know where we're going. Look, he points right. We're going straight. We're telling them straight, but he must have told them right. So then they finally heard us, and I'm like, we've been here many times. I'm not sure why he would go right. We said we're going to the lake. Right does not take us to the lake. And we all live in the area. But it's like, I don't know. When I go places with these guys or even Mo and the other group, I come back, I study the map and try to understand all the little roads. That's how come we find them when we go back on our own. Because you find a lot of routes by riding with your mates. There are places that they go. That's what some people call them heat maps. You know, whether you're on Strava or Garmin Connect, they identify the routes that other cyclists use. But I find more stuff by riding with groups in the area and see where they go. And so on your solo rides, you head to those same areas because you can work for a lot of kilometers without dealing with traffic. That's what I do. I don't sit on the major thoroughfares for very long. I just use them to get me out. So now, this is another late turn.
Man, you gotta call these things earlier, man. Sheesh.
That's Mark right there. I mean, I don't know what he's waiting on to just say we're turning right. He knows the route.
Yeah,
I know the area, but there are many ways to get to the lake. He designed the route in the parking lot. He walked us through what he wanted the group to do. So just at least I'd have let somebody know or just say it early enough. So you see Christian putting up his vest. I'm taking off mine off camera, but I'm taking off mine as well. And I fold it and I put it in my pocket just like he's doing. I don't mind riding with it open like that with the flaps on the side because the Rafa vest is built so well you could see that even though it was flapping, the back was not moving. There is a difference in the quality of cycling garments, guys. Same thing with cars or whatever else. They're not all created equal. And I'm really pleased with the kind of choices we have now. When I competed, we didn't have all these great choices. We have a lot of specialty garments for cycling there. You have to be selective. I don't buy any garments from the bike shop. Even if they were on sale, they don't select very well. You get a bunch of run-of-the-mill stuff and they sit there collecting dust because riders in the know do not shop at the local bike shop for clothing. Right here, Dan and I believe there's another rider. I think it's Michael. There's Michael on the right. They get through, but there's a car coming in the right lane. Or is it the left lane? I think it's the left lane. I stop in the middle, and the driver stops and says we can go. It's a quiet road, but when you're at the front, don't make turns if your mates cannot get through safely. They should have stopped for all of us to get through as a group. And this is just a teaching moment. I mean, nothing wrong with what they did, but ideally, if you're leading, think about the last person in the group. If it's not safe for everybody to get through, just stop. Because now they're up there soft pedaling to wait for us to regroup when we could have all come through together. That's all. At the end of the war, Christian rides up to them. Paul is here with the camera. In a little bit, you will see I'm behind Paul. This is hard here. It's not easy because Christian rode up to these guys. Remember, riders were already getting gapped on that back highway. The pace may have lulled a little bit, but Paul turns the camera around. You see the gaps? There's somebody back there. I think it's Mark and Scott back there. Right here, I did a replay. You'll see me stand. Right there, I get up. I'm going to do the replay again. You'll see me get up. I begin, because this road is kicking up now. You see it says 2%. Michael's struggling. He's looking around. He doesn't want to get up there. I don't know why he's looking around. It takes less effort to be on Christian's wheel. So Paul is riding up to Christian. I end up going on the left of Paul. I'm not sure why I went left. But after I stood, there I come. Pace is on here. In a little bit, and Paul's trying to get this camera adjusted. That's why he keeps spinning it around. Now look, we were all together a second ago. You see the gap? It doesn't take much. You have to be alert. So that little lag time that Michael let go, look, we got gaps over here. Well, if you're struggling and you're dealing with gaps, you're gonna struggle even more. So I know it's counterintuitive, but the harder the ride is, if you're gonna stay with that group or group A or the section of your mate, whatever the group is, you've got to find a wheel. There's no point in being in the middle catching the wind like you just saw. We're working here. I mean, it says 0, but it's not 0. It might be 0.9 or something like that, because you feel it. That's the reason I moved around to get up here. See, now it says 1 and it flickered at 2. And we've been riding pretty hard the whole ride. See, Michael's working. Look at it. He's working hard to get up here. And to his credit, he's one of the few riders I've observed in Team RR that really knows how to use the draft and really knows how not to pull when it's hard. We've never had to wait for Michael. We're always waiting for other people who want to be heroes and then they get dropped. Michael stays in the draft. He drifts back when it gets hard, but he always hangs in there. And that's what you need to do. When it's hard, don't pull. Use all your effort to finish with the group if you can. Or finish with the split, or the second group or the third group. It doesn't matter which group. Try to stay with somebody. We're working here. And another reason I moved up on Christian's wheel, I want the pace to stay consistent. These guys have a tendency to do a lot of speeding up and slowing down. It's like they'll go hard for 20 yards, then sit up. No, we're gonna ride hard. So as a result, people basically had to work. Now you see we have a split. There is a group back there in the distance. That's Mark and Scott. Let me see who else was there. I think it's Mark and Scott. they're having trouble because every time it was raining in the last 2 or 3 weeks, they're running this group. They will post on GroupMe, oh, well, the road's going to be wet tomorrow. Well, we're out, meaning we're not riding. Well, guess what? That's what happens when you don't ride. If you're not going to ride on the road because it's raining, plant yourself on a trainer. Because now, look at this day. They can't ride with us. They're struggling. At this point, I'm hoping this light changes because I don't want them to use the light as a reprieve. I want them to work. I want them to realize what happens when you don't train consistently. I posted a picture on Instagram where, you know, in maybe 10 kilometers down the road, you will see another split where I put an arrow on there. Right here, Dan starts to slow down the weight. I move up. We're not waiting. They're going to work. They need to stay close because they're struggling for 2 reasons. They haven't been training consistently, but then they're continually leaving gaps. So I just rolled through. I told Dan, good job, and I pulled through. You see how the reflector on my legs look kind of white now? That's the sun. They're normally gray, like the one on the top, but they really work. Very visible. The sun is reflecting off of them. So when car lights hit them early in the morning or whenever you're riding, they shine. I'm keeping the pace high. Now, I had been pulling for a while on that stretch for 28.54, so I'm well aware of that. Christian knew to get on my wheel immediately. Paul is behind Christian. We're going downhill. You can see Paul's not pedaling. You see his shadow? Going downhill, he's saving some energy. I shift up and I'm just keeping my cadence up. We're gonna be going up to like 54 kilometers an hour. We're moving. We're in excess of 32, 33 miles an hour, something like that. We're definitely over 39. It's dropping 47 to probably like 28, 29, whatever. This road is up and down. I'm staying next to the line because the shoulder's wide enough. This is chip seal. The chip seal roads are tough on you when you're struggling because you have to work. You saw that arrow. I waved my hand for Christian to come through. Either he didn't see it or he wanted nothing to do with it. So I looked back, nobody came through. I continued. In a little while, I will wave again because there we go. I let him down. He pulls through. He asks me, "Are you gonna come back?" Something like that. And I nod my head and I slip behind. The gap is there because Paul leaves the gap on purpose so I can slip back in. And the reason I'm staying up here is because I want to keep the pace high. When the pace is high, the group is focused. And Christian's driving the pace right here. We're gonna hit some grades. Right now we're going downhill, says -2. It may say -2. It doesn't feel like much of a downhill. You can see it. It's not much. It's for a little section where you have a dip. Then it levels off and then it will kick up. I'm looking for traffic to make sure there's enough room. There's a lot of sand on the right coming up because of the rains we've had. The very reason people weren't training. And that's why I'm letting them know I look for traffic, I use the lane. See, I don't want to ride in that grip. I don't like that on my tires. So when you're riding on the shoulder and you need to move over, you need to check. If it's not safe, you stay there. I'd much rather ride in the sand than to jump in front of a car. Not only is that unsafe, it's just the wrong thing to do. If you're on the shoulder, that's where they know you are. So all of this we're doing, I know it's clear. As I ride, I use my hearing and I look under my arm. You don't have to turn your head way back. You can just tilt. You will be able to see. I'm always checking for the other road users. Even though I'm on the shoulder, I want to know what's going on in that lane, just in case. If a dog jumps out and I need to move left or something like that, I want to know what's going on. So I'm always glancing. That's another reason I don't put anything in my ears. Your hearing plays a big part in what's going on. While spinning the camera to keep it calibrated because it's cold. We finally got to 6C at this point. At 6C, it felt balmy. You see where my jacket is? I had folded it and stuck it in my pocket. All I'm waiting for is for either for Christian to wave me through or for his pace to change, and then I'll roll to the front. The reason I wanted him to come up is he had been behind Dan. It was his turn at the front when I went ahead and kept the pace going, so I didn't want to stay there too long. We're going up the hill. Look at my cadence. I'm using my cadence because I know later on we're going to turn on what one of the legends here called ninja grade. See, triple digits. That's why you must train your cadence for all ranges. This is a long enough climb. Now it says 1%. We've been climbing. If you kill your legs here, you won't be able to recover. See, my cadence is appreciably faster than Christian's, and that's okay. That's how he rides. He rides in the 80s thereabout. He's a strong rider. I'm keeping my legs supple so I can continue on when he's done. That's one of the benefits of being behind. You save your legs, you keep them fresh. Most racers know this. For sprinters coming up and so forth, you don't push a big gear at that point. You save it for the sprint. I'm going to be turning in a bit. That's the gas station. And these guys, usually when they turn, they expect the pace to back off. People lull so you can gather. Not today. We kept the pace moving. So you had to stay close. The top groups, that's how they ride. You gotta stay close. You can't mess around. So Christian, I felt his speed drop. I rolled to the front. He had pulled long enough. I rolled to the front. Paul comes with me. He's adjusting the camera, make sure it's calibrated. This is ninja grade here. That says 1%, but it does not register too long. It's between 1 and 2% most of the time, or 0.7 to 2, but we're going into the wind and it's hard. I'm on the right because somebody said car back, and I want to give them room to use this section of the lane. So I stay to the right, and I keep the effort the same. This is hard. This is not easy. We're working hard. You will see in a little bit, there is a clear gap to the rider whose fitness is lacking. That's what I put on Instagram, and our super legend Christopher Roxbury put a comment. He said, "Be nice." LOL. You know, he was playing around. I do that to show that you must be, and you see from my fit, I am one with my bike. I don't need to do anything but ride. And I have the right kit on, so my temperature is ideal. So I just focus on the effort. Right here, I froze the frame so you can see right there. That's Paul H., Mark, and Scott. They're gapped. They're not there because they choose to. They're there because the pace is hot. And the pace never backed off. Christian is behind Michael because he pulled for a long time, so he's seeking some shelter. And the ninja grade continues. We're going to turn left here. I've been here before, so I know the route. Mark's yelling directions, but I already know where we're going. I cut that corner because I already knew there was nothing coming. You see, my speed stayed the same, so now Paul has to ride up to me. That keeps everybody focused. They had yelled that we're going right, and I put my hand out to acknowledge it. I knew we were going right. There was a fork in the road about a third of a kilometer down, just up ahead. The road goes straight and to the right. And I would let Paul know we're going to be going. We're going to be veering right. That's what I'm doing right there. I go somewhere on a bicycle once, it's etched in my memory. You should feel a close connection to everything on the bicycle. We'll go through a subdivision here, and I'm keeping the pressure on. see my cadence. You gotta be working in your cruising range so you can do it for as long as you choose to. And your legs will recover. So you see how everybody's kind of gapped, and you know, people made the comment that most groups sing smoother and tighter and whatever. And the reason I'm bringing that up is, here it is, they're struggling, but they're not tightly in the pace line. You're gonna struggle even more. So it's counterproductive. If you're gonna follow and the pace is high, you need to be close. That's not when you need to be sitting there catching a wind. What's the point of being in it? You need to really be in the draft. And experienced riders know that. The faster it goes, you guys saw the film a few weeks back when we rode with Mo's group. In that wind, the pace line got tight. Nobody had to say anything. When it's hard, get close to a wheel, about a foot or less. Makes a difference. So I cannot stress enough, guys and girls, get your bike to fit you. You buy a new bike, get it to fit you. This car here messed up everything. We're gonna go, this is a nice downhill, and this driver pulled out. I'm trying to tell her go, it's a lady. Her windows are all fogged up. I don't know where she's going. She's in the middle of the road. And in a little bit, there will be a car coming from the other side. And I don't care if it's a neighborhood, you're on the road. You need to drive. So watch her. She's over the middle line. You know, I don't know what Dan is doing. I don't go near people that don't know, look like they know what they're doing. She looked like a rookie driver or something. She's in the middle of the road again. Another car will be coming the opposite way. I end up telling her to get off the road. And Doug says, this is what the truck drivers do. You know, you sound like the truck drivers. But it was just rude. Look at what she's doing. She's making a freaking left turn. Get it over with already. This is not a stop sign. And look, that other driver had to wait for her. They issue licenses to people based on the fact that they have a pulse and they're 16. They need to do an intelligence test and have a minimum IQ required to operate a vehicle on public roads. I mean, what the heck is that? You're gonna leave your home to drive like that? You should have stayed home. So anyway, we turn left here. We're near the lake. So Mark asked whether we knew where we're going. Yeah, we know where we're going now. We know where we are. Since it's diminished the choices now, there's only one way to get there. We go down about a quarter of a kilometer, and we're gonna turn right at the intersection, and we'll be at the lake house. And we stop there for a bit before resuming. There was a Shell station and a convenience store at the lake house. So those two at the front did not hear that we were stopping. This was not supposed to be a stop. We were supposed to stop at Taco Corner. So we call out to them.
Yeah. Hey guys, here! Right here, guys. Christian.
Originally, we were supposed to get on that highway and just go into town across the lake and stop at Taco Corner. They decided they wanted to stop here.
So this was a impromptu stop?
Yep.
So I used this opportunity to put my jacket under my bib against my spine over the base layer.
This is our only stop. After these guys will go back.
It's on the edge of Lake Conroe here, part of it anyway. The lake is huge.
You go back with them. They go back to.
Telling Christian that he can go back with these guys because at this point they had not decided to go with us through the forest. They changed their minds.
Yeah, we want to do 100 miles. Really nice. Last Saturday we did 200 miles. Yeah. So I want to keep that Saturday heavy day.
I always lean my bike to have two parts of it touching something, my saddle and my pedals, as well as my bars. I had three touching the wall.
You read my mind. All right, legends. These are the boys that are out. Tough boys.
So at this point here, we're on the way to Dacas after leaving the lake, and the road's flooded. So Paul rode through, I rode through. We've done it before.
Are you men or Mises? Where are we?
I'm messing
Come
with
on,
them. They're
guys.
still back there.
Look at that.
They waited to see Paul and I go
Michael's
through
going
first.
He's going back.
Michael's going
you
back.
serious?
And so I was like, please.
He was complaining about the cracks.
The guys
on
have already started
Bailey
coming
Grove.
across. It's about
What
maybe
cracks on Bailey Grove? When you
100
turn on
yards
Bailey Grove, I
of
told
road
him to
that's
slow down
covered
because
with water.
that guy had killed himself at the front. When we got out
What
of
I
the
was
forest,
talking
he
about is
takes off
Paul
and he gets
H.
drunk.
continues to use his
So
energy at the wrong time,
He does the same
and he
stuff
ends
every
up getting
time. That's what I
gapped
got to
and
back up
falling off
because
the
of him.
pace.
Because he got dropped on us, he pulled off.
So he had pulled on 149 for too long.
Just stay in the middle. You don't need to go to the
off
end.
the front.
Yeah, just
end.
ride the middle.
I'm telling him to ride the middle. You can see the road. The water
Mike's
is
not
not
even
that
done.
high.
I went there like
You know,
it was
so
nothing.
we're not really riding full circle of the.
Take a
You know,
gel,
you
my
like
brother.
you just
Take a gel.
pedal, stop
Mariah coming
halfway, just enough to keep the bike
sticking
going,
up right there.
and that way the water
Take a
does not
gel.
spray on your ears or anything.
Now you guys
It's
are
low.
tough. That's what I'm talking about. Last Saturday we had the same thing. It wasn't as
We
much
had
as
to go
this.
through it
and
last
we went
Saturday.
through it. You go slow there, you don't spray yourself. I'm not sure why Michael turned around, but
He said he was going to.
yeah, I think that car is parked there, huh?
I think it got to like a cent, you know.
No. If you go slowly, you don't spray yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Ain't
what-
good enough.
what
we went through it
Buckshot
last
said,
Saturday.
didn't
There
even
was a little bit of
touch
water
my
on the
cassette.
road as well.
That's
The
what
water
he's
has
worried
nowhere to
about.
go. Look, it's like a lake. I don't know what they
Don't go
designed
through
this road.
water
we had to go
if it's
through it.
going to
Yeah,
get
last
as
Saturday
high
we had to
as
go
your
through it. It wasn't
hooves
as
and
much
stuff
as
like
this
that.
though.
Don't
It's just
do
the
that.
first part.
We
This
could
is
see
more.
the road. It's just water over the road. You can see.
This is more. No, this is more. I mean, we
It was
as long as
this
it's not
road was
moving a lot
covered
of
more
force to
than
knock
this.
you
See, that
over,
car
I think
looked
we're
like it
good.
got washed to the side. So after leaving Dacres, we on 1486 towards Mount Mariah Road. This road is chip and seal. We don't particularly care for it, but that's the way to get to Mount Mariah Road. In a little while, some crazy driver, right here, I froze the frame. He's passing and there's a car coming. That guy had to end up stopping. Look at this idiot. You know, this guy in the truck stopped because this road here, a lot of kids live out here on their farms and they ride their scooters on the highway. You see all these little turn roads here. This is not an area where people fly through. I don't know where he's going that he couldn't wait for 2 or 3 seconds. And it's just, there's no point in taking a risk like that. So those 2 cars pass us. If you stayed on this road for another 5 minutes, you might get another car. So he takes a chance on a road that you get a car every 5 to 7 minutes. Was that really necessary? And that's why some of these accidents are really avoidable. People just make poor decisions. Anyway, we turned on Mount Mariah Road. And in a little while, I tell Doug Shot in the red shirt, he was drifting back. I said, no, get up here so I can film you guys climbing. And once I say that, they decide to put the power down. Paul H is behind me, so he's not in camera view. I think the pace is a bit hot. This is the road that Paul and I used when we did our 200-kilometer ride. You guys, we showed it on that film. That was last Saturday, so we decided to film this section with the boys so you can get an appreciation. At this point, Christian has been sitting at the front for a long time. Right here, he's trying to back. I just told him, I said, it's just dirt. The water gets over this road too when it rains. It's the same way it was last week when we came through, so there hasn't been any new additional water going over the road since we came through. These bridges are new. They used to be wooden bridges. So it's a nice change. So even now that it says 16C, as you can see, this is 10:38, so about 3 hours into the ride. It's changed dramatically. At this point, I still have my gloves on. In about maybe 45 minutes or so, I removed them. So I had told Doug I wanted to film him, so now he takes off. And you will see Paul ride up to him. Because Paul is there. So Paulie Longa will ride up to him. It may say 0, but this road is going 9, kicks to 1. This road's going up. If you look in the distance, it's going to go left. It gets up to 8% in there. I love coming out here. It's like built-in intervals. You don't have to think about it. You just ride the hills. So we start to go hard, and we immediately grab gap Paul H. The entire time we're on this road, I think we're passed by maybe 1 or 2 cars. It's quiet. People have large acreage lots out here, a lot of farmers. So you got few cars that come through here because you have few homes. We crest through here. It at its steepest is about 8%. It's short. So I tell the guys that Paul H has been gapped.
Wait for Paul H. Paul H.
I had looked back. He was gapped.
It's right there. Close down here. Look at that.
We've been waiting on and off. I had told Doug to wait before on Bailey Grove. I think Doug was tired of it. He just continued riding. So I just let it go because another thing is that Paul H will go off the front, and he doesn't even after this section that is off camera. He'll go off the front when we're riding easily, and I had mentioned that when Scott did it a few weeks back in another video. They all do that. So if you're gonna go off the front, then why were you dropped here? And I think Doug's tired of that, so he just continued riding. In a little bit, you'll see me flip the camera. We can't even see Paul H. I had asked Doug to wait before we got to the flooded section, to wait for Paul H. After Paul H had taken a flyer off the front, and then it got dropped when we turned on Bailey Grove. So I think Doug's like, I want to ride these climbs. I don't blame him. That's why we come out here. So this is where he should have saved his energy to ride with us. That's what I talk about all the time. This is how I was taught. Cycling is about timing. Even if you race it, why would you go before the sprint or before the climb where the decision is made? So yeah, they're gonna have to use their heads. So Doug starts it, Christian goes. I sit here. Doug comes back over. I don't think I pass him. I just sit here because there's only 4 of us. I want to get people on film. Christian's blowing his nose. And there's another climb. So we rode that climb hard. Doug knows this area. They come through here. They brought us here. So I flipped the camera back. You can't see Paul H. When we get through the climbs, we end up backing off the power. So he comes back, but we came to ride these climbs. And that's what you can do. You ride your ride, and then you guys can wait later when you're done doing what you need to do. For the people who did not ride with you because they made poor decisions to go when it wasn't time. This road is always like this, even during the week. So when I have more time, if I don't have a lot of fits scheduled and stuff, I sneak out, I head out here. That climb up there, it looked like not much, it kicks in. I think this is where Paul makes a move. Doug goes with him. I decided I would stay back and film it for you guys. This is the hill that we sprinted on the weekend before. So Paul is familiar with it. So they put out a good effort. Christian and I decided to get something to eat. I think what Christian's eating.
1486.
And he's asking me, he said he loved the road and he'd never been here. So I'm explaining to him the lay of it's parallel to the chip seal highway we were on. Letting him know. So we're back off the power. So Paul H finally gets a chance to come back. So he's sitting there recovering. Those guys have turned off the power. And it goes up again, and they decide to ride this again. So that's what you have to do, is you go to an area that will give you built-in intervals. So I hope you all got a chance to get out there and get your Ks in, but this is what we did on Saturday. We're fortunate enough to be able to get in excess of 165. We got about 166 point something kilometers in. I want to thank all our super legends for making this possible. All of you members on Patreon, all of you Todd Morrell, we appreciate you for supporting the channel. Get your Ks in.